I am now 399 brews into my brewing experience, and I want to talk about things I've learned in this process, maybe give you some advice and ways to not make the same mistakes I have. So let's go ahead and talk about what's happened in my brewing career, which has been extensive at this point. In August, I will have homebrewed in a aggressive way. I don't know if that's the terminology I want to use, but aggressively for 7 years. I'll be going on 8. And 7? Yeah, 7 years. In that time, I've logged every brew I've made. I have a whole Google sheet that I update with every step of everything I do, with the dates, the amounts of stuff. So it has 399 things on it right now. And I've done videos like this before. I did a 199. And that one kind of turned more into a, for lack of a better term, spiel, rant, because I was honestly just beat down by how much work I was putting into things. And that's not to say it's still not tough, but I don't know. I think I've let things roll off my back a little bit more. I thought I did a 299 video, but I actually did a 353. For some reason, I didn't do 299. So anyways, I reached out to my people in my Discord and said, hey, I want to make this because I think it's interesting. 399 is quite the milestone. Of course, 400 is next. And I had them ask me some questions. So I'm going to answer some of those in a second. They're really good questions, so I hope you enjoy those in a moment. But let's talk about some of my favorite things, some stuff I've learned just this year alone. I have been really hitting the competitive homebrewing circuit. I, of course, love making mead for myself, for my friends. In fact, I give away, I was like doing some mental math about how much mead I actually drink of my own. And I think I realized I only drink probably, let's see, 10% of the things I make. The other 90 is given away to friends. It is sent off to competitions. Like I don't drink that much mead myself. I like it. I really do. But I can't. I make so much of it at this point, and it's kind of insane. So I have really enjoyed the process of making meads with the intent of sending them off to competitions. And I know that's a different mindset because honestly, competitive mead making requires you to invest a little more time in balancing and figuring out how to appeal to a judge, which sounds bad because you should make mead for yourself, wholly for yourself. And I've really tried to take a step back and not let myself completely think about the judge in my mead making. But I do know, generally speaking, after some competitive experience, that judges like things like sweetness, things like acid balance. They're big proponents of that. Generally speaking, unless you're submitting a traditional mead or something like that, if you make something that's very basic, like let's say just a blueberry mead, you got to make sure that it's spectacular because it's got to have something there that is going to make it, I don't want to say interesting, but interesting. It's got to be just solid. So I've really invested time in understanding sweetness, acid balance, oak usage, I should say, tannins, stuff like that have really been helpful. I've spent a ton of time doing that, and I've been successful. I've been very thankful for my success so far with my competitive sphere. So far this year, I'll do a wrap-up video at the end of the year with everything. I do keep a sheet of everything I've submitted or am submitting to competitions. So I'll do some wrap-up at the end of the year that says, here's how it went. But it's been a great year so far. So I've been thankful for that. So that's been fun. Second of all, I've really enjoyed the tests and more recipes. I know that lots of people don't necessarily care about recipe videos. It seems like a trend is more so for the tests, which is great. I love tests, as y'all know. It's just hard to sort out a test every single week to do some large scale thing. And I don't really like to do the small scale tests as much anymore. I like to really hit it home. Like ever since I did the 20 yeast test, I was like, this was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work, but a lot of fun. And so it inspired me to go ahead and try to do more with it, to try and take and make bigger tests. For example, I have a 40 hopped mead test that I've ran. 40 different meads with different hops. And that is going to be something I finish up in July/August with a big tasting at our jamboree, as we're calling it, for Mead Stampede, local here to Oklahoma City. It's our mead competition. The Mead Stampede competition will have a live event called the Jamboree, and you'll get to taste those hopped meads there if you show up. So that's a huge test. I love doing those, and I plan on doing more, but recipes have been kind of my new enjoying thing too. I've been looking at all the fruits that I haven't done recently and diving into those. Stuff like dragon fruit. I was like, oh, well, first of all, they're kind of rare, super cool color. So I saw those. I had never done a tart cherry mead, a boysenberry mead. I'd never done just a straight mango. So I'm also doing a mango habanero. I've done a regular mango. I'm doing mango habanero now. What else am I working on? I'm trying to think of other fruits. Plum. I'm looking at my carboys behind the camera. Lots of fruits, lots of different things there. So I'm making videos on how to create those as well. And most fruit meads are the same process, but it's still fun to see. So really enjoyed that. I've really enjoyed just pushing myself out in different boundaries. I'm having to make smaller amounts of mead because I have too much mead. But I do enjoy making kind of wild things. Like, I'm not going to say wild, a no water pineapple is wild, but it's definitely more expensive. So maybe the word I'm looking for is not wild, but expensive. I've been enjoying trying to make more expensive intentional meads because it's just kind of fun. So it's interesting. Traditionals. This is a traditional in front of me right now. A Coffee Blossom, hydromel strength, 6.5. It's excellent. Tons of fun stuff there. So I don't want to make this all about what am I brewing, currently, because I have a whole bunch of things. Oh, I do want to pause and say this. I'm going to have a lot of content coming out in the future. I'm currently stockpiling videos. Right now, as I'm recording this, I've got about 20 videos ready to post, and I'm working on about 30 outside of that. My end goal is by September for me to have finished up all 30 of those videos. Not so I can take a whole year off, but so I can be very present as a parent. I'm definitely planning on brewing, but in September when I have my kid, I would like to be able to step back and not feel like I have to finish videos in order to continue to run the channel. So there's going to be a lot of content that you're going to see that will have finished, stuff you'll see a year from now might have finished this month. And I just basically gonna keep running this clock. So that's just spoilers. I've already done this for a long time. Most of the time, the videos you see on the week were finished 2 months before, 3 months before. It's just kind of how my workflow works, but it's going to be even longer. So I will try and be active in how I respond to comments and helpful, but those videos might not be fresh in my mind, if that makes sense. Anyways. My last thing, and then I'm going to answer some questions. My giant Google Sheet. I'm going to share it on my Patreon and YouTube members. And I want to incentivize my people who are on $5 tier and above because they go above and beyond. So if you're a $5 tier and above on YouTube YouTube members or the Patreon, I will put this Google Sheet available for you to check out with everything that's actively going and everything that has happened. So feel free to check that out. Let's hop into some questions by my awesome Discord members. So I'm going to, maybe if I get savvy, I'll put these on the screen as well. Here is our first question from Larry Rowe, one of my Discord mods. Super awesome guy. He says, what are your long and short-term mead plans? Long-term is just to keep brewing, of course, and get a ton of experience. I'm also looking to commercialize the recipes that I'm making, namely so that I can take and when my buddy Doing the Most, BC, and I, and David, when we finally get our act together and we start to really open a meadery and do the things that my recipes will be more friendly for large scale. For example, apple cinnamon, the way I make it on the homebrew scale, it is fantastic. It is perfect in my opinion. I love it. I want to be able to make it more viable for the commercial scale, meaning that I have to learn to take away some elements. Like, it's going to be really hard to use a ton of real apples in this mead. So I'm having to dial back the amount, play a little bit of a game. So that's a long-term plan to do that with a bunch of recipes. And I think I'm getting close. Short-term plans, like I said, videos. I'm just making a ton of videos, and it's a little overwhelming. I'm looking at my scene of meads back behind the camera right now. From what I can see on top is crazy. I've got things in shelves. It is bonkers, but I am having a lot of fun. So, tons of videos, Larry. Green Mountain Mead, Kyle Ducharme, as he is his real name. He says, how has serving at mead pouring events like Hoppy Camper changed your discussions about mead with more casual drinkers? I've had the really fun opportunity to do 2 or 3 pouring events where I've taken my homebrew and BC has taken his homebrew. We just sit there and pour it for people. And it's been interesting to see the reactions to mead because a lot of people have heard about it, have seen something somewhere, but generally speaking, they have never tried it. And they've never tried our stuff. And I would say our stuff is pretty dang good. So the way it's changed conversations is people are now getting interested in buying it. We have had a lot of people at these pouring events say, where can I buy this? Or how can I buy your stuff? And of course, as the commercial mind, we're like, oh, I wish we could do it. But people want to know where they can buy it. And they're not necessarily interested in making it. I think that's an important distinction here is they're not going, how do I make this myself? They're saying, how do I buy this? So the commercial side is exploding from that. And just generally trying to get people to understand more about mead as a not super old beverage. Most people, we saw people come up and say, hey, I want to try some mead. Is it like the Vikings or is it medieval? You know, I went to the medieval fair and I had some. Is it like that? It's like, maybe a little bit, but for the most part, the stuff we're making is not the same. My blueberry muffin mead that I poured at that event is not going to be the same thing as the Renaissance Fair traditional mead or Joe's Ancient Orange or whatever thing that they made there. So a lot of people are interested in buying now, which is kind of cool. I've seen that more and more as these events go on, which is fun. Larry asks, what's the most exciting project you're working on or planning? I'm most excited at this moment. It's already, the cans and stuff are ready to be consumed, but this hopped mead. I have these 40 hopped meads I just explained a little bit ago, but they're hydromel strength. They're in cans. It was a huge project. Took a lot of work, but it's going to be a lot of fun to see how people react to hopped mead because I know it's not necessarily like the most known thing or tried. A lot of people haven't ever tried a hopped mead. So that's the most exciting one for me, but I have a ton of other videos that are coming out. I'd have to go through my list right now to remember what I have going right now, but a ton of fun ones. Kyle asks, how do you take feedback from all these competitions you've been entering? Do you look at trends, just try and focus on sensory input, throw it away since you're in it for the glory and the medals? I think this would be a good thing to touch on. I think it's funny. So submitting to these competitions, I definitely still submit for feedback, especially if it's a developing recipe, something that I know I want to commercialize or I know I want to just make again and again. If it's a one-off recipe, which I make a lot of one-off ones where it's just like let's see what happens. I don't really take the feedback too critically. And depending on the competition, depending on what I know about it. For example, if it's a heavily beer-focused competition, I'm going to get like comments from these beer judges who don't know how to judge mead. They don't know how to gauge sweetness. They don't know how to understand the acid balance. They don't understand the oak. And so they put these like kind of unrelated, silly comments on these cards. And oftentimes I just write those off because I'm like, I know you're You're just a beer judge that doesn't, you're not viewing this from the lens that you should for mead. So if the competition has a larger scale of meads entered, then generally they have better judges for mead. So I throw away some comments. I keep some of them in the back of my brain. That's kind of where I'm at. It's just been fun to enter and see what happens, and I highly encourage you to enter mead competitions. There's one called Mead Stampede, which is myself, Faywood Mead, and BC are doing the most. We have our very own. It's still open for registration. Great feedback, great people. You're going to have a great time if you show up to and submit some meads. Mad Titan says, do you dump batches you don't like, or do you drink them because booze is a terrible thing to waste? If you do dump them, about what percentage of your brews have been dumped? I have definitely dumped batches before, but mostly they only get dumped if they've gone sour or bad or something happened with them in that regard, or if they're just not amazing. So like I do a lot of these 5-gallon recipes for like, I would say I probably dumped more beers recently than I have meads, but you know, if it's not something I see myself killing a keg of, I'm not going to hold on to 5 gallons of it for a long time. I'll bottle or can maybe 2 to 3 gallons of it, and then to share that with friends, and then I might dump 2 gallons. If it's like a 1-gallon recipe, I don't remember the last time I dumped a 1 gallon. I don't know. I haven't really dumped a lot of stuff, but I'm not afraid to. Honestly, I think that if it's not good enough for me to keep, or I'm afraid that if I give it to somebody and they're going to have the wrong, like they're not going to like it, or they're going to have some weird opinion of it that will like further make their opinion of mead sour, then I toss it. It's not worth ruining someone's opinion of mead, especially my mead. I don't want anyone to ever look at like my stuff and go, I had a bad mead from him one time, and I don't ever want to take anything from him again. Now, I'm going to give my good stuff that I like and that I think that people will like. If they don't like it, I've done what I can. But if I know that it's not good enough, I'm not giving it away. That's kind of my thing. Baron says, if you could give yourself, your 100 batch self, a piece of advice, what would you say? So this is like that, if you could go back in time and do something different, what would you do? I wouldn't do a single thing differently. Looking at my giant list, I've really enjoyed the whole process. I think it's got me to the level of mead making that I'm at because I've made the mistakes. I've learned from those mistakes. I've tried the recipes. I don't know that I'd have any advice other than back when I was 100 meads, maybe the investment in time for like just looking at sweetness and acid balance as a key. I also don't know that when I was at 100 meads, I was fully bought into using sorbate, metabisulfite, or pasteurizing to back sweeten. I think I definitely started the train, but I don't know if I'd done it fully, and so that, or it's a big investment. I think the game-changing one for me for all of my brewing has been forced carbonation, doing some kegging. I love carbonated mead, and the easiest way to do it is in a keg. You can do a bottle carbed, of course, but you have more control in a keg. So that's what I would say to myself. Shelley asks, what has been the most difficult style of mead to master and why? She has multiple, so I'm going to tackle them one by one. For a long time, it was a traditional, but I feel like I haven't mastered a traditional, but I've definitely got it pretty cornered. Here's what I like to do. Here's what I know works well. I think the new one for me is sack strength meads. How do I make a sack strength mead that's going to be 16% and make it clean? Make it to where it's going to be drinkable sooner and not have to wait 2 years. So that, or in the same vein, like a Dvořák or Polish mead. I think those are the hard ones to nail down, in my opinion. What topics of mead making are you still learning about? I think I'm still diving into water chemistry. That's a big one. Like I'd really like to get better at it. I've been doing more beer recently, and there's so much stuff about water chemistry when it comes to beer and people using specific things, and it makes their brews better. And I just wish I understood that more. I feel like I'm always learning about yeast and what yeast are going to be best suited for a brew, Those are kind of the two main ones, I would say. Probably just flavor pairings as well. But Flavor Bible, that book up there, is my good friend. What things did you feel were difficult to understand or accomplish as a beginner that are easier second nature for you now? That would definitely, like pasteurizing, stabilizing, stuff like that was kind of wild for me. Definitely yeast, knowledge of yeast and how they work. I got a comment recently, and I think it's just because I already knew what it was for a long time, but somebody was very critical of my lack of diving into racking meads and what that looks like when I develop recipes or like talk about it. I just mentioned racking, and that is a beginner level thing. That's just second nature for me now. I know I have to do this. I have to rack this. I have to do this. Like, I think that's probably second nature at this point. I don't know. This is a hard question. Balancing is probably it as well. How do I use malic, tartaric, citric acid? What can I do to get that? So those are some things. Her last one is, are you thinking of making a mead to commemorate your new little one? Definitely. You know, a lot of people do like the Devagniac style. I have a Devagniac going right now. Or done, kind of. Maybe I'll make maybe that's what Brew 400 will be. It'll be a commemorative mead for them. All right, got one from Bucky. He says, you've talked about going commercial at some point in the future. What's your vision or goal for that? And he also says, what do you need to accomplish to get there? What do we need to accomplish? We need not necessarily accomplishments. We need money. That's our bigger problem right now. We need quite a bit of money to get going. So that's the holdup. Our vision is to do lots of, obviously make mead, but specifically dive into carbonated session strength meads for the first long while. Because BC and I have nailed that down. I think we've got that very, very good. And people would love it. So we're going to start with that. Goals are just really to get the financial budget, find the location, rent the location, walk through the process of getting licensed, getting equipment in there. You know, like, it's all easy when you talk about it, but I had a great time learning from Billy Belts in my podcast I did with him, if you want to go and check that out. But he basically walked me and everybody through the process of how to start a meadery. So money is the bigger thing right now. That's our goal currently, is to get the money to be able to get going. Texas Longhouse Mead asks, what is the most important lesson you have learned up until now? You could say it is it is sanitizing, because without that you really risk, bad things happening. I would say time is in that vein. Probably my bigger lesson would be fruit. Knowing and using fruit that you can get a hold of. For a long time, I was like hesitant to not use anything but fresh fruit, because I was like, I feel like that's the only way to get flavor. But like, fruited meads are incredible, obviously. Frozen fruit, purees, like these are all things that I've used that are just as good as fresh fruit. So the lesson of using what I have around me, even if it's not necessarily the exact thing I want. That goes for wine bases too. If you have a plum wine base, yes, it's not as good as the real thing, but you can still do something great with it. So that's something I've learned. He also asks, if you could start all over again, what would you do different? I don't think I'd do a single thing different. I've loved this process. I've loved starting in that tiny house and starting with zero knowledge. It is so cringy to go back to my beginning videos. And that's kind of why I'm redoing a lot of the things, recipes and stuff, is because I can do it better. I can explain things better. But I don't know that I would change anything. I've loved this process, and I think it's got me here because I have made all the mistakes, and I'm still making mistakes. But I'm not afraid to dive into those. I think I wouldn't be here in the same way without those mistakes. He has one more. He says, what is the one style of mead you want to master? At the Polish mead, for sure. I still think getting traditionals down and not so much leaning on sweetness, because right now I've got traditionals, like semi-sweet to sweet traditionals down. Dry traditionals is the next, like, how do I do this? Really dry mead in general. So I think anything dry will be interesting to try and master. We got one more question. This is from Rainasu. What non-mead drink do you find yourself brewing most often? I have loved lagers. I have dove so deep into doing lagers at this point. I've got one in my cold chamber right now. They're just fun to do. I mean, it's really interesting to try and do it, and they're tasty. I love a good lager, and so I want to get that down. I've probably done all the beers I've made recently have been lagers, so I'm really diving into beer as well. It is different, but it's a lot of fun. And when I like have friends over and they're pouring stuff from my kegerator, I like having the options of other things for them, not just mead, because some people don't necessarily like mead. It is, not necessarily the beverage of choice for everybody, and that's okay. So having a beer on tap has been really helpful and really nice and challenging. So 399, we're about to pass 400. If you want to ask me more questions, hop in my Discord. That's just a sample. That's all the people had asked specifically of me. But I'm an open book. I will tell you anything. This isn't quite like an Ask Me Anything. I guess it kind of is. But I love getting to chat with you guys. And I'm so looking forward to what 499 looks like. I hadn't thought about that. 499. You know what's crazy? I can tell you when I hit mead number let's see, 299 was, that's, okay. 299 was the end of March 2023. So in 15 months, I think is the rough timeline, I have done an extra 100. So whatever that math is that six? A little bit, 6.5 meads per month. That's not bad. I mean, I think that's going to slow down with the kid. That's okay. I hope you look forward to videos that maybe are, they're all still the same style. I love getting to do the same recipe test style, but they're going to be just a little bit different in that I might not be as, I don't want to say aware, but my mind will be focused elsewhere. And I think it's okay for me to take some steps back, focus on my kid. And I hope that I can produce the quality content now, pre-kid, so that y'all can enjoy it later. I still will be brewing things. It just will be a maybe slower process or slower stage of life for that. $4.99 might take me 2 years to get to, and that's okay. Who knows? Thank you for watching. Thank you for supporting the channel. I hope that you guys enjoyed a silly video like this. I will be back for $4.99 when that happens. I don't know when it'll be. It could be a hot minute from now. But if you would like to chat, I'll be in the Discord. I do not... One mental health thing that I've been really trying to work on, because I got kind of obsessed with YouTube comments and things, and it just was bad for my brain. I don't really respond to YouTube comments very often. Like, I don't even have the ability to necessarily on my phone, because I found myself in a cyclical manner of every morning waking up and making it like, here, I'm going to spend 30 minutes responding to comments. I'm going to go through this and this. And it kind of consumed my brain in a way that wasn't healthy for the rest of my life. And so I've stepped back from the amount of comments I respond to. So if I don't respond to your comment on YouTube, don't take it personally. I just probably haven't even seen it. And that's just, it's been really nice. It's actually been really weird, because since I've deleted my way to comment or respond to people, I've also kind of taken away my ability in way of posting videos via my phone. So this is a Saturday, this Thursday that I posted a video. I was having a great day. I was just chilling. And then about 1:30 rolls around, and I'm going, wait, what day is it? Hold on. Oh, I was supposed to post a video today. And I have them ready to go. I just have to hit the publish button, essentially. But I just had totally thought or forgot about the video itself. And it was an interesting thing, because part of me was like, oh no, how could I forget that? And part of me was like, okay, that's all right. So It's not to say that I don't enjoy posting videos, because I do. I just generally don't let myself dwell on them as much, because I have nothing. The numbers part of our brain will always be there, and the numbers part of my brain will always hold on to the idea that I didn't get enough views on this video, or I wish I had done more. Even if the video has 200,000 views, my brain would still say, it could be better. So not letting myself watch the numbers grow has been very healthy. So join my Discord if you'd like to chat more often. You might have to tag me in your comments, because I also don't spend a ton of time just perusing those. I probably should, but I will continue to produce content for you, and I hope that you enjoy it. And I'm very thankful for all of my people who support me, whether you're a subscriber or just a watcher or whatever you are. And a special thanks to these people who are my Discord and Patreon and YouTube members. These people are the ones who invest in the space. You guys are helping me continue to buy ingredients, make videos, do everything that I need to there. So I am super thankful for you guys. Thankful for your willingness to help and help grow the channel. I'll be back. You'll see me soon with another video. Let me know what you think of this one. Ask questions below, and I might get to them if I can. And I'll see you in the future. Cheers.